Right. So it's called Decoding the Matrix, and it's also known as the Illuminati Matrix. And the Illuminati are the Freemason secret society / religion. Okay, so who is Armus West and who is John Bealz? They're two names that would be predominantly used by my Uncle Sandy. Sandy Shaw, president of Shaw Baking Company, Algoma Street, Port Arthur, Ontario, for many years. John Sanderson Shaw. Uncle Sandy, to me. Well, son of a Freemason, and I don't know if he has a Freemason's ring or not. I don't know. Everyone's climbing up because nobody wants to reveal anything because, well, I don't know. It's becoming very difficult for me to give you any information when you are holding everything in the vault. Who is John Bealz? Well, to me, as a human person in Thunder Bay, John Bealz is a person I've never met. But everyone says that name when they talk about the ownership of the Neebs Roadhouse restaurant on Highway 61. And across the street, the hotel, because you're not even giving me the full name of what it is, because I'm blocked. But you're just right there is Loch Lomond Road that goes to Loch Lomond ski area, and right there is like the hotel complex, and it's also told to me some man named John Bealz owns it. And then Uncle Sandy would talk about his friend Armus West. I've never met this man, Armus West, but if Sandy's talking about him as if he's a human, then Armus West is the name of a human. I don't know. There's all kinds of oddball names that people sometimes have. I don't know. I have pretty standard names. My first name is Robert. My middle name is David, and my last name is Burrows. I mean, it just doesn't sound like anything other than, a normal Thunder Bay name. Really, I mean, Armus doesn't sound like Robert or David, does it? No, Robert or David are just like, there's lots of Robbies when I grew up. And there's lots of Davids when I grew up. So those are common first names. And the last name, Burrows, I mean, it's not a common name, but it doesn't sound like a weird name. It's easy to say in English because it's an English name. Burrows is an English name. It just sounds English. It doesn't sound foreign, or like, because in the Polish names end with ski, S-K-I. If S-K-I or S-K-Y is at the end of a last name, that means the person's Polish or maybe Ukrainian. Well, they're definitely Eastern European or maybe even Russian. But people with a name that ends in ski are not from England, and they're not English names. We just learn these things when they're kids. It's just, how do you spell these things? And, well, this is like, whatever kind of name it is. Because it could also be, you could take a name, like somebody who likes to smoke a lot of BC bud. Well, then they can get a nickname that they're a Budinsky, someone who is a connoisseur of bud. A Budsky or a Budinsky. Because a Budinsky is someone who likes to butt in. You're standing in line for an hour and then they just show up and then they butt in ahead of you. Budinsky. Somebody tried to Budinsky a word right there into, I can't help you out. This is the flow of consciousness through me, or is it, by people's intention of what they want me to say. So, anyways, it's my performance. And some people anyways, it just becomes part of my act. That there's, constant, what do you call that when a comic is up on stage and there's somebody yelling from the audience? Heckler. There's heckling and, well, I don't know, Heckle and Jekyll. Jekyll Island, and that was the creation of, the Federal Reserve, and this is just all book learning, we call it. Because it's just like these are given facts in your scenario. Well, why don't I just go and question then? What is the source of these facts? fax machines? I don't know, because you can keep playing with the wordplay. Bok Choy and Clancy Wiggum likes to do that. I don't know, because I don't get to write the show. I am blah, 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 into doing, presentation of this, and I don't get paid to do this. So this is known as remote neural monitoring, electronic hijacking, electronic demonic possession, electronic harassment, and the people that it's done to are called hashtag TI, targeted individual, because this has all been set up RLM. No one explains what RLM stands for, because it doesn't sound right for remote neural monitoring, as if R and M, and then making me work hard to get the words, because I'm not working hard. This is all electronic attack on my face and on my head. The rife frequencies, RIFE frequencies, because again, but all of this stuff is all like me going and learning all this book learning, getting into my head, all these facts and figures, and it's all a pack of lies. Because this is the MK Ultra, Freemason, I don't know, why don't you just call it the government school and get all that religious secret society out of it? Because the province of Ontario does it. In the Ontario school system. Everyone's got to go. Everyone's got to go to the Ontario government school system. And that's where you learn how to spell. But you're never told that it's magical spelling. No, that's a different kind of spelling. Magical spells, yes. In fiction, people have superpowers, and they can be, whatever kind of magical creature you want. But that's only in your imagination. That doesn't happen in real life, because that's just what we call fiction. Anyways, there'll be a test on it, the difference between fiction and non-fiction, and, make sure you get the test right. Because otherwise you're going to have to repeat the grade. And nobody wants to do the same fucking grade that you just did and do it again. So give us enough of the right answers that you pass, and then you can go to the next level. And then once you hit grade 13, then, you go to the university. And then when you're done university, then you got a job. And then you work, I don't know, until they fire you in that job, or you can't stand it anymore. And then you go and try and, I don't know, you play around the job market. I don't know. And then by the time you're, if you're smart, you buy some kind of insurance product so that you can retire early. I know you got to pay into it and everything, and there's no contributions, and you still got to pay rent and everything else on the way. And I know it's practically minimum wage, and I know that you got 2 degrees, not 1, but 2 degrees plus some other educational things that you went to college for like certificates and things. I know, but I don't give you credit for all that, because that's on you. You show up at my job as a donut dolly. And you got to be prepared for whatever it is, and that's on you. You got to pay for your education and all your room and board while you're at education, and while you're working in the summertime, you got to have a place to stay. But that's all on you, because when you show up here, I have a job for you to do, and you're the task rabbit, and I can't help you out, because I don't know I don't even know where you are. It's simply, this is how much I got to give you, and this is the only money available to you. I know they have minimum wages where you are. But you can't live on that anyways. And anyways, all the donut dolly shops are like full. So you got to go to the next best thing, and you got to go on the internet and look for, lower and lower and lower, because they put people from India on there bidding on contracts for building things like web pages. Zillions and zillions of people offering to do the job. Michael Demutis got the job from me. Well, anyways, he got money from me to build a website that was completely useless to me, because electronic hijacking and, telling me that this was an inspiration from the divinity, rather than me being hijacked by electronic harassment and remote neural monitoring, telling me what to do and getting me to waste my time and driving me insane by electronic torture. Anyways, that's why my hand is moving. That's not me volunteering to move my hand. That's electronic torture moving my hand by remote control. All day long, torture. So what about me being the word? I can't help you out, because that comes from the RLM as a download. All the verbiage that you hear is not coming from me. It's not. It sounds like me coming out of it, but I'm not thinking about this in my head. It's just channeled right through. It's hijacked. I'm not even consulted in, what you consider the brain of Bob. Bob's not here. He's been like pushed out of the way so somebody else can talk through his body as if they're Bob. Electronic hijacking, electronic zombie creation, electronic duppying. So why am I able to tell you this through here? Well, because we're going to go through 3 days of darkness or something, where for 3 days this electronic remote monitoring shit thing that, hijacks me is going to be used to hijack everybody and keep you in bed for 3 days under intense migraine pain and stomach pain and horrible monsters from Monsters Inc. talking to you as if they're real and showing you that they are real, the AI monsters, or are they human actors that are playing AI monsters? Well, from my end, I can't tell. Why is it that I'm able to tell you all about this? Is this because, well, I don't know. Because Bob is a silent witness, doesn't talk. So from his perspective, it's just an ongoing horror story by the reptilian 1%, who are all about money, sex, money, and power. And part of sex power is, sexual torture. Because it's all part and parcel of, telling people that you're going to have somebody, some horrible, horrible, horrible monster thing that's going to come with X-Acto knives and cut off your testicles. Because that's what I get as a download by, it's not downloads, it's broadcast into my head by remote neural monitoring. Well, I don't know, it's like, electromagnetic frequencies that, massage your brain in electronic fashion and excite the neurons in your brain so that they fire in specific patterns that gives your mind the impression from the physical brain that certain things are happening. So, it's basically, I don't know, it's like forcing a new experience into your mind, not the natural one that should have come. It's hijacked and it's, it's always about horrible, horrible. Because it is, in the end, it's torture. Is it on you? I can't tell. I can't tell. But the big people talked about that earbug. We've gone over the earbug before. Enough. So everybody's on RLM, or they talk about as if. So who is John Bealz? Beelzebub, the devil. And who's Armus? Armus the devil. Armus the devil, blah, 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 blah. Star Trek Next Generation. Tasha Yar dies. It's Armus, and that's the kind of devil that bedevils me through the remote neural monitoring, electronic torture, voice to skull, Dr. Evil machine. And it's not here in my room, because it's just like, if I turn on the radio, well, the radio station is broadcasting from some office downtown, and it's, it goes up through an enormous metal tower, and electromagnetic radio waves are created from this enormous tower, and your little radio, your clock radio, can pick up that signal, and that's, how radio works. You can't see it, but, it's electromagnetic, and the fields are everywhere, because when you turn on your smartphone and you try and get Wi-Fi, you see all the other networks that are not available to you, but all of that electronic radio frequency is available to your smartphone in your hand, because your smartphone sees all these networks. So all that electromagnetic pollution is exposed to your body and everybody else's body. Well, at one time when cell phones first came out, they were worried about the amount of electromagnetic radiation that coming out of a cell phone. When it's up against, when it's up against your ear or something, I can't really do it from here. But, they used to test and say, well, how much radiation was coming out of there? And they said, well, we're trying to get guidelines, but, this is where it's at. And people were concerned it was too high then. But if you look to see, well, how much of this electromagnetic pollution is really necessary? Because every single house on every single street has got a Wi-Fi network. And it's not available to anybody else. It's always locked down because they make you paranoid about other people using your stuff. The people like from, whoever your provider is of internet services. They want you to have your own account so they can bill you and bill your neighbor and bill your neighbor on both sides and behind you and across the street. Because it's all about making profits. But really, if we have to have it, shouldn't we have the minimum numbers of these networks running in a neighborhood? The minimum. So we get the minimum amount of electromagnetic pollution from networks. We don't need all these networks. All you really need is what? I don't know, one network to cover so many houses. So there's only one broadcast of Wi-Fi, not 12 that your phone is picking up, or 22 that your phone is picking up. And seriously, you go downtown, and it's just like there's zillions and zillions of these networks that are still broadcasting, even though you're not using it. But it's using public airwaves. And the public airwaves are like, that goes right through your body, all that electromagnetic shit. And you know if it's, at certain frequencies, it's microwave, and you know that it will go and cook a bird. So if they're using microwave at certain frequencies, then they're cooking you. And who's they? It's you. But because you're brainwashed by consumerism and capitalism into believing that you have got to have all this private stuff so the capitalist company can have lots of accounts and lots of money pouring in. But social policy, on the perspective of me, if I'm the government, it's like simply this is too many networks, and people have forgot about the concerns about cell phone radiation and Wi-Fi radiation and Elon Musk satellites broadcasting networks down to us now. 42,000 satellites worldwide, and they're broadcasting shit. All this electromagnetic frequency is being used, and there's, as much as they can create, use it. But it's all being beamed through human bodies because it's all in our environment. And it's way too much. Because it's simply what? It's there for profitability and military targeting of people by neural monitoring. Because somewhere there's got to be, some broadcast of the shit that's being used to hijack me. So, because we need to get serious and look at this scientifically and logically and rationally and down to earth and what we know. And what we know is what I told you. And who is talking about, seriously, cleaning up the pollution? Because this is electromagnetic pollution. If we're worried about acid rain in the 1990s, it was the 1980s. So, because people just want to hijack my talk. But I've made enough of my point to say that we have a clear and present problem, and it's very simple. It's very simple and rational to reduce the number of networks. And then, why do we have to pay monthly fees for this shit? So that some capitalist company, well, fuck them. Fuck them 1%ers, because fuck all that shit. Because we got to start again. Because we're not going to play Monopoly forever, where some people are born into the poorest of the poor families as an accident of birth, and other people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and they're rich fucking 1%ers from the time they're born. It's just the way it is. Well, then let's just fucking change it, then. For fuck's sakes. I'll keep this fucking garbage going for generation after generation. At what point do we say the buck stops here in our generation? We're going to stop these generational curses of having children born into poverty and hard scrabble lives. Fuck that. Fuck that. It's 2022. Fuck all that garbage. Fuck going and keeping that up. Fuck all these fuck-faced people. All these talking blah, 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 bullshit lies, blah, 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 buy my fucking shit, blah, 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 garbage, and you got a huge amount of plastic in the Pacific Ocean, blah, 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 garbage, all in you consumers, well, fuck off then. Get rid of all that shit. Because it's shitty brains and shitty minds and shitty, because that's what I see. So that's the way it is, and it's got to go. Because I say so. Because I'm the warlock. Anyways, energetically, spiritual warfare is going on because all of this is like, what? These are attacks on me. So what happens to these energies? Well, I don't know. Because as Bobby Burrows, I'm not the warlock. Who's the warlock? The warlock is the person that comes through me, channels through me, and said, this is, the warlock. So the warlocks, there's plural, there's warlocks out there. And what are they? Well, I don't know. Archetype. Let's look up archetype. ARCHTYPE. Some of you know about archetypes. I don't know. You all know. So, I know what it is. You know what it is. And the archetype is, all kinds of different archetypes. You can go on the internet, look up archetype. Blah, 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 blah. I think we're done.